this is, yeah, it shows prime right here. Same thing.
When it wasn't like that before you click on it. So, and you can't move whatever's behind it.
Okay, so it could just be a formatting issue with the
Yeah.
teacher or something that.
But I mean, he got so frustrated because he was trying to type it and
There are times where it will
And so
literally
for
glitch
things
so bad that the keyboard won't work, and you have to sit there and basically beat on the keyboard to get it to work, and then you can finally type.
Say hey, how are you? How are you doing? Good. How's Hawaii? How are you?
So why do you wear the back?
Doing what now? That's good. I was gonna ask
Well, up until last night, we didn't know we could turn anything off because I didn't know it was in to just draw stuff or not.
it took me a bit to
Close
figure
enough.
that out.
Finish therapy up this
But I want to see if we can't
So
I won't paper versions anyway, it's easy. Because I can fill this out in 15 minutes, whereas it was 5.5 hours. Started at 5:30, got down to 10.
it was crazy. He was due yesterday. So and I never saw it till Friday on this thing, so I don't know if that. I mean, she doesn't message us. I've tried to message her. I guess she doesn't use it. I don't know. She doesn't ever really talk to me. Message her. So I'm not.
Every single one to 10. I'm not going to Root Block, it's just too far. But every other one I'm here.
Yeah, we're gonna try to get to all of it, but still need to finish the half.
His handwriting is atrocious because the district has forced these down the road since he was in and his handwriting is atrocious. I can't read it.
He's got it right. But he's like, "Mom, I'm supposed to write." Don't write. I don't know.
Give me 1 second.
Wherever there's a space.
Yeah, no, it's not good. That's why I ran.
Okay, sounds good. Looks like Beth and Mackenzie.
Well, at the time, it was just for, I was about to sit there and chat with you. And it,
Good evening.
like 10 and 7 p.m. kind of.
All right, good evening. Welcome to Pillion High School. It's good to see you here tonight. Thank you for coming out. I see some familiar faces and some new faces, so that's really great. I actually also see a former student of mine here who's a parent, and so that's always exciting, taking it back a few years. But the goal for tonight is the same as the goal was at Gilbert High School. We want to have conversation. We want to talk with you. We want to hear from you, hear things that you think are going well in your schools, hear things that you would like to give feedback on ways we can improve. The first 30 minutes of our meeting, we're going to be at tables, and there will be a couple board members at each of your tables, and we're going to talk through we're going to talk through academic excellence, and then we're going to talk about school climate, and then we're going to talk about financial things, and we'll kind of spend 10 minutes on each of those, and then at the end, the board members will come up here to the front, and we'll open the floor to all of you, and you can have the mic and talk with us about whatever you want to talk with us about. So we'll go ahead and get started. I'll kind of be a timekeeper. If you're going with conversation at your table and you want to keep talking about finances, but we move on to something else, it's okay. So let's see. We've got board members there. I'll come sit here with you, Mr. Anderson. All right, we're going to start with academics. On your table, there you'll see like our, sorry, I didn't mean to lean over you. Kind of like our 5-year strategic plan, our profile of a graduate, and then just some kind of talking points there. So we'll get started and then move on.
Yes. Yes, you remember her name?
Yeah. John, how much does each one of those cost? Because I guarantee I can buy a laptop that works 1,000 times better than this thing. No, it's John. It constantly glitches. To do this paperwork right here, we finally figured out how to print it off. After about 15 minutes of screwing with the dang thing. Took him 5.5 hours to do this. It should not have taken 5.5 hours to do this. It's maybe 10 questions on this whole thing.
So what I, this probably has to do, this probably has to do with academics really, I mean, most of the stuff is.
Nobody's giving us any
I
information.
know my son
When
was
it comes to,
taught,
as y'all are aware of the whole,
and they don't
dilemma
see
that happened with science and
anything wrong with it.
when it comes
If it happens
to
again,
spot checking,
His keyboard, I don't know if
continues
it's,
to happen, I'm gonna make sure something's wrong with it when we send it back down.
I know that their old iPads, they have like where the keyboard come off. So I don't know, I know that's not like this one, but I don't know if it's that, because the keyboard doesn't want to sync right with the screen.
yeah, I found a policy right here. Ultimately, it is on the person.
Very frustrated with it. But even the format, like teacher does wonderful, but then when you go and put, text in the box, it covers whatever he
So
can't fix
my
it. We tried to
question
undo
is,
it and it erased everything that he did. And I was like, no.
how do we have a policy system that allows
Yeah, I don't, maybe you need people on it, I don't
nothing
know.
was ever, this one never went, this came from them.
I know for a fact I have really good internet.
Well, I would tell you this particular
And for it to still have issues in general, that means it's a piece of equipment.
I would carry a step
Yeah,
higher.
I mean, we can get your name and see the connect you got with the technology person at your school. And I mean, if that one's not working, they can switch these out. So that's an option. So yeah, definitely. So there's
Well, like I,
like a contract.
I don't have a contract, I'll go buy a laptop tomorrow and give it to them, tell them that's what it's gonna do. And put everything on it, everything's on the website. I mean, take me off enough and I'll fix the problem. Because my son is, for me, considered to be failing 2 grades.
What I don't understand is why everything has to go on. But yeah, the tests are in written form, they have to study on the iPad and back and forth, I just don't feel like that's they learn better writing on paper. His math teacher,
so
those didn't any of this information, and so because it was complicated just to do the first page. So,
It's the way they ask it, the wording.
I mean, and I haven't been able to reach this English teacher. I don't know if
Distracted instead of putting on the number.
Okay, but
where,
Well, we wanted to see the number.
messaging parents.
Well, I need to ask
Can
you.
preschool teacher reach out to the principal?
I mean, I talked with her at school.
I'm always told.
This was like the first
Yeah,
kind of
the
thing
principal
we've
It
had
works for you and it works for them.
do like this.
there's certain
The way their teachers are
At
doing
home.
right now.
reach.
So
Cow.
if she would allow us just to
And it's like-
print it off and he could write it,
The one where they.
submit it that way, or we can
No, actually, that's.
screenshot it,
It's
however.
the one that's like, they do the giant 7.
You get a,
And then I do understand that, they're
Handwriting
side,
is
and then they
good.
stack each thing.
I get it, I understand how the personality works, I get it, I get that 100%.
And he has a writing goal.
Yeah, I don't want this to be over, because there's more, it goes a lot harder than just.
These heroes.
I learned how to write cursive.
From the conversation
My
we've
son
been
has-
having, it kinda sounded
My son
like,
has a writing goal.
like they knew.
Or you gotta put it in an area model.
So that's my next question.
He tells me,
Now, y'all are aware
when
of the
am I supposed
situation,
to learn that?
did administration there
Things
know
like
that?
that.
A couple of takeaways I've got for you guys, first of all, but if they get the answer date, make sure they do it somewhere where
So
it's
these
I
dogs.
definitely feel like I'm
Some
hearing,
points,
but
but
there's
not
not
all.
more
Like,
about
even if the answer's right.
yeah, and we've already been
And that doesn't say show the number, like, show you, like, it's not always consistent.
but then that's just communication, you're not.
And that's why I was gonna say, like, my point was like, so my son used to struggle in reading.
One thing I do wanna make sure is that
Always
everybody
like
gets a
in a
chance to
solid
kind
B
of
in
talk
that.
too, so
And
you wanna just kinda go around, see if there's anything that you have, or we can circle right back around if nobody else has everything.
And it's not okay, when we need transparency, like, we're very open. If it was just said, like, hey, we missed this. But it went much further than that.
I think people are gonna
We haven't tested you all. There's no application, there's no.
What schools do y'all?
once it became,
I feel like
we didn't do anything.
And it's
Because
like,
it doesn't matter.
so
Every
many
grade
schools,
has
but they're not.
You know, you gotta be held responsible.
No, all,
And it's not just, but it's, so like, I have a 12 and I have a first grader, and so my son went to grade school, now she's getting a packet every day for something, and I'm like, okay, that's fine, she's not in that grade, okay, fine, handle this, but then she's like, okay, you make them out a packet, and then she'll let her read 20 minutes, and my son learns.
I know we're all deep in conversation about academic excellence. If you want to move on to school climate and school experience, you can, or just keep going with your conversation.
Which is what we want to make sure, that we won't have, can't have it for accountability,
Because that's her age, or his age. What is it about her teaching or what have you figured out what is to
know what's going on and what's being done.
so that we can now teach
obviously an issue, but they have to.
Yeah,
Trust me, we feel the same way. You have to remember,
But let's, why would we wait till
teach my kids the same way. Like, when it comes down to the math, I'm taught my kids my math.
When they finally started science, they were taught science for 3 days, and then they gave them a test. And let me show you. Send me know if you want. One of the questions was,
They're old and know stuff like that. You know, math hasn't changed in the last 2 years.
getting obsolete. Nothing.
I just feel like if Eureka, if I have curriculum, it should come with tests.
I'm all
Even if it's just minor. Why aren't we taking those measures to create a little bit more of a cumulative measure? And we just don't have a little bit less tests for them.
I've taught them the way that we did it back in the 90s. My child understands it perfectly. You show them all these little bubbles on a sheet, like I griped about last time. They don't understand it. It makes no sense. Like, there needs to be a balance. There's got to be. Like I said last time, our family is a relatively low-tech family. If I want to know what my wife's doing, where she's working, what we're having for dinner, we have a whiteboard by the door. I don't text her to find out. No, I go look at the whiteboard. All right, she's gonna be at Lexington High today. She's gonna be there all day. All right, we're having lasagna for dinner. All right, so I need to make it home in time for dinner. Got it.
She's better organized than some of us.
Well, that's if she updates it. Otherwise, I have to wait until I get home to find out what's going on, and I'm just like, okay, whatever.
Well, we're trying to go around here by chance, so once you have a chance to come back.
so the state should be. I mean, when I've been through academies or things like that, it's the whole department putting in their questions. We can go pull through a few questions from each person and pass the test. And that's something that we should have in our schools because you have these teachers working together. They all know what they're teaching. Yeah, I mean,
Trying to be rude.
you have to make sure the curriculum is like taught exactly how you
I know conversation's going along well at our tables. If you want to move on to finances, you can, or just keep talking.
sports teams.
where you're an MP and you're at their sixth class. There's a lot
You can make bands, you can make everybody else do all this stuff, but the football field, oh my God, we gotta make it look perfect. I hate sports. For that reason.
You have to keep the main thing, balance everything else out. But when you have 3 hours a day for, or even 4.5 hours a day for music, and 2 hours for your 6 other classes,
The teams can fund what they need.
we don't have our priorities straight.
I hate to be the one to break up all the fun. But we're going to keep talking. We're just going to talk together as a big group.
AstroTurf instead of grass.
All right. Mr. Starkey, is this one okay? Okay, good. All right. I don't know about the other 2 tables, but our table had some great dialogue from 3 different schools. And now we're going to kind of open the floor. If there's anything you want to talk about that you didn't get a chance to talk about at your table, or if there's a conversation you want to continue going, the floor is yours. And we will pop around and then come back to people. I know you would
You're giving me
love
a
to
warning, I
chat
know.
with. That's
You're
my
giving me a
kind
warning, I know.
warning.
Make sure you let me put him off and let me ask my
Well, I'm going to ask a question, and then I'm just going to break into 2 parts. I have a question, and I'm going to break into 2 parts of examples. I'm going to tell you about one part. I'm going to let my wife tell you about the other part of it, if that's all right. So my main big question is, why do you as a board have policies that aren't being followed? Okay, and I tell you that there's a few things. So, yeah, I was looking for it. Instruction time, okay? We've been going over a lot of stuff about subjects recently, things not being taught, okay? The school that we go to, they do 9 weeks on, 9 weeks off, social studies and science, okay? Which, from what I'm hearing from other parents, it's a common thing for schools to do that. I don't agree with that because I feel like my 9-year-old isn't going to retain that information, or social studies and science. But looking through policy, the policy actually says that there's supposed to be 40 minutes of daily science, 40 minutes of daily social studies, 40 minutes of related arts, so on and so forth. But it breaks down daily how many minutes should accumulate that day for each subject. So why do we have policies in place if we're not making schools follow them?
Which particular policy are you referring to, if you don't mind giving me the number?
The number, IDR school day, it's down. I'm reading the one from elementary schools. I have it here if you want it. if you want to see it. Administrative rule IDR school day, elementary schools. It's great that there's a breakdown because we're not teaching certain subjects, and this makes them teach subjects. So it's great. I like that it's broken down in minutes.
It doesn't give any, like, there's no specification of that they could do 9 weeks on, 9 weeks.
Can you use the mic? I'm sorry. We got some feedback that we couldn't hear people, so if we can just make sure if you speak and use the mic.
There's nothing in this policy about allowing those minutes to be, like, do more one day and less the next day. It just says daily minutes. Does not say, like, 9 weeks on, 9 weeks off is allowed. Doesn't give any room for that. It just says
Dr.
40 minutes
Price.
daily.
I am so sorry to just like throw this one towards you. But I recall recently, and I don't have my computer in front of me to look at my email, that the district was addressing the 9 weeks on, 9 weeks off with science and social studies, and that is not the practice that we're wanting to have. Is that correct? Okay, so that is being addressed.
Okay, so we should see it going towards what the policy says moving forward. Okay, I'm gonna let my wife take over the next part of policies.
Hello. I have a 3rd grade science question to ask y'all. This is a test that came home for my 3rd grader, and I'm just going to read the question exactly how it is. Draw and write what would happen if 2 students tried to kick a ball at the same time. Show the size and direction of a force from each student. So she drew 2 stick figures, a ball in the middle, and 2 arrows going like this. They want to know what would happen to the ball. What would you all say?
It depends on who kicks it the hardest because one force is going to overcome the other force. That's coming from your board engineer.
Yes, which
So-
I agree.
But maybe
There's
that's
a
not
lot
the
of
answer
information
that they
we're
wanted,
missing
but
here.
I want to, please say more.
I do, I think it's a poor question in general, especially for a 3rd grade. There's a lot missing. There's angles, there's force. I think what they're looking for is that the ball stands still, as if you hit it at the same time with the same force, opposite of each other, with no angles, it should stay still. She wrote that the ball would go up in the air. They marked it correct. Right. So now we're having science in our classroom, which is great, but she's getting hundreds, so I decided to look at the questions, and I'll give this all to you. So I looked at the question, and I'm a nurse practitioner, so I really love science, but I don't want this marked correct if it's not correct. I don't want her to get 100 if she didn't get 100. Also, I don't think this is grade appropriate. I'll let you finish.
Have you
me to do
shared
that?
any of that
Shared that?
feedback? Yeah, with the teacher or the principal? Have any of that been shared directly with them?
Not yet. We just finished a whole nother, this is pretty recent, but we just got done.
Okay.
We're actually pretty happy with everything coming home since until this, but this has not been discussed with them yet.
The last part about the policy question that I had, so we talked at the last meeting about all the homework coming home, the insane amounts of homework and how it's not even graded. Teachers aren't even looking at it, okay? And I think I expressed it then. If I didn't, I will now. But if nobody's looking over my kid's homework, how does she get any instruction if anything's wrong? How does she know if what she's doing is right? Okay, and the answer that we were just given is that they have too much to do, and it's not required homework, which we found out after the fact, and it's not graded. So they're basing their grade off of 2 or 3 test scores. But going back into policy, there is a policy that homework can be graded, can count as a grade at the teacher's discretion, but it does say in the policy, in the guideline, that the teacher, at the beginning of each course, the teacher will explain the homework policy to students and parents, including its influence on report card grades. And where's the part? And homework will be monitored and prompt feedback provided to students to emphasize learning objectives. Teacher will avoid the use of homework assignments that will require a significant expenditure of funds and will be sensitive towards students who may not have access to needed materials. So I guess that goes towards, I'm asking why homework's not even checked. If we're making them do so much homework to where it takes up all their time and they don't have any time left to be a kid, why aren't we at least checking it and giving them feedback so that we can teach them and give them the education and tell them if it's wrong and why it's wrong.
I'm sorry, I have to ask the same question. Have you shared that feedback with the teacher
Absolutely.
and or principal?
This is how I know it's not being
And,
objective.
and what's the response that you're getting?
She has too much going on because she has 46 something.
The
That's what the
response
teacher
was
says?
is that homework's not required, and if she has the time, she glances at it, but
Okay.
there's not enough time.
So what does the principal say when you tell the principal about that?
Optional,
He said the same thing.
That
It
homework?
was the assistant principal,
Okay.
which was the first time we heard that it was optional.
Okay.
which we never knew was optional. We thought it was mandatory, and because that's all newsletters getting sent home saying homework, make sure your homework gets done, this and that. And when I questioned it is when it was told to me by the assistant principal that it is optional, doesn't have to be done, which is crazy to me.
Granted, at the same time, when your kid's failing a class, you want them to review more things so they can.
I'm good with homework. Like, Beth, I think you gave me the phrase last time, if the football player isn't at practice.
That was me.
Oh, I'm sorry, that was you. If the football player's not at practice, they're not going to win the game. I get it. I'm good with homework. But we're not even checking it, and we're giving them so much homework. It takes up so much time, so we're not even using it as a grade. That's
Here's
it.
the-
Yeah.
I'll just speak up really fast, and then we can go to someone else. But when we were in school, and there's several of us that went to Lexington and graduated from Lexington. When we were in school, we had homework. We turned it in the next day. The teacher went over it. We corrected it, and we got a bonus or a curve on our next test. If we did the homework. Now, if we didn't do the homework, we didn't get that curve or that bonus. So, when I ran for this position, one of the things that I ran on was getting back to basics. And I feel like we need to revisit this policy. We need to see maybe about changing some words in there so that we can.
What is the homework policy? You mentioned it's in policy.
So
What policy is it?
It's it's the same one, administrative rule IDR school day. Right? Yeah. It's 2 or 3 pages back. I mean, the policy's good. It says what should be done, what's expected. The teachers should check the work, explain to parents, explain to students.
I wonder if the reason it's gotten a little muddy is because of the practice for what we do in high school versus elementary school. So whether it needs to be more defined, I don't know.
But to answer one of your original questions, we do expect our policy is abided by. So where we find that it's not occurring, we do want to know about that so we can follow up. So thank you.
Well, I'm hoping that these examples, something will change with that.
Yep.
Okay, I'll let somebody else talk. Thank you.
Hi, I'm back. Sorry. I brought a mafia of moms with me from Midway. We're all from Midway. Our kids are pretty much in the same group of classes. I will let them share their own story, but I had some moms that couldn't be here, and I told them I would read if they wanted me to read something. So I had moms prepare, and it's along the same lines of the amount of testing that our kids are going through. I got really excited because after Halloween, I thought, oh, we only have 2 tests next week. And then that Monday night, I come home to a parent's square, and that whole schedule had changed, and we had a test every day. And I thought, okay, well, there's 1 every day this week, but there's only 2 next week. Nope.
Can I clarify our actual tests? Because I know last week you were calling
Majors
quizzes
and minors
tests.
both.
Okay, so quizzes and tests, not
Yeah,
all
but
tests.
still, that's all we're graded on. I'm all for the homework. Like, I sit with my kids, I believe homework should be done. I believe the skills should be practiced. But we should get that curve. Like, we should be rewarded for that. And I know
I thought this might be relevant to you. It says like the assessment methods can actually include.
Hey, you guys, can you please use the mic? I'm so sorry. They just can't hear you.
Assessment methods can include observation, projects, portfolios, and quizzes. But it seems like we're all experiencing just quizzes.
Yeah, we're only seeing tests and quizzes. There's no observations, no portfolios, there's no projects, there's no book reports, there's no art projects, there's nothing. There's nothing. And what we've learned is that when a kid has to remake or retake a test, it's happening during related arts time. The 40 minutes a day of their fun time. Because it's that or it's recess. And I feel like that's not fair to those kids, no matter how many or how small it is. I feel like the workload on the core teachers is way heavier than on the related arts teachers then. Because not only do they have to re-prep the test with the questions they have to retake, then they have to administer it, and that's all the grading. Now related arts teachers are 5, 6, 7 students short. But I wanted to read, there's a mom, her son's in the Eagles program, and she said, I'm unable to attend this evening's community conversation, but I'd like to share my feedback on the recent changes that have been made to the elementary grading system. Now, none of these parents are against percentages. We all love percentages. It tells us more about what our kids know and what they don't know. I understand many fellow parents that are attending this evening, and I strongly agree with the sentiments that they are sharing. To add to what they've shared, my personal opinion is that I strongly dislike the amount of testing that the children are being subjected to this year. I find myself very lucky that my son, who's in 4th grade, excels in math, but he's feeling the same struggles as many of the other students in the rest of his subjects. I've never seen him stress or worry before this year, and it feels like such a shame. Neither of us can help keep up with the quantity of tests coming their way. The changes implemented this year have taken away so much enjoyment from the learning environment. All these moms here behind me, their kids have all said the same thing. My daughter, verbatim. We don't really learn. We just talk about it, we test, and we move on. Like that's it. That's it. There's no learning. The changes, okay, so it feels transactional and forced instead of the warmth and fun that we are used to. I had another mom, and she has a whole nother experience that I am grateful I didn't experience this year, with teachers being suspended, teachers just not showing up the weekend, literally the Friday night before school, getting an email saying that teacher's no longer going to be teaching. Kids being removed from classroom, put in other classrooms because of behavior. She's been through the ringer, and she wanted me to read this. This school year has been one to remember. My daughter's class has had so much drama, I can't begin to sum it up. But that's not why I'm writing today. Those issues seem to be handled, thankfully. And while I don't 100% agree how they were handled, our principal, Dr. Carnahan, handled those situations with professionalism and care. We live in a crazy world, and I'm glad we have a great principal leading our school. However, I am concerned about the amount of testing our kids are having. I haven't been able to even complain about this because of all the other issues we've dealt with this year. But learning is the real reason our students are here, and it seems as if they are doing more testing than learning. On top of all the majors and minors, they still have iReady 3 times a year, plus the state testing. I understand there is a need to test to make sure they are learning everything, but it's become excessive. The amount each week is absurd. I'm especially concerned with social studies and science testing. They should be learning the concepts in these subjects to truly understand them. But it just seems like they're given a bunch of study guides to memorize, and then they will forget them. My daughter is very inquisitive and likes to know what's going on in the world and how things work, yet she goes on and on about how much she hates social studies and how boring it is. And I would thought that would have been her favorite subject. The tests look way above grade level. There have been struggles for her in math and reading as well, but they're a little bit more reasonable. The science and social studies are hard tests for their age, and the number of tests each week is just taking the fun out of learning. I am not sure exactly what the answer at mid-year is, but I hope that it can be addressed and there can be a change. I know there are a lot of concerned parents throughout the district. So many kids are having to get tutors. We haven't yet, but we might have to next semester. Honestly, I would just chalk her struggles up to catching up from all the classroom issues we've had early this year. But after hearing now from other parents, it seems not to be only school-wide, but district-wide. We need to put our children first and not the test scores.
Oh, yeah, I'll just sit. Also at Midway, and I have 2 children there, and they're both special needs children. My son has an IEP. My daughter does not, but we're still in remission from cancer, and she also suffers from scoliosis. So she's very bright, and she's doing great. I love the school so much, and I love Lexington 1 so much. My husband was in the military for a long time, so I have been exposed to many school districts, and this was so refreshing coming here and settling here. So I'm really, really appreciative of it. I honestly, we all kind of came to the same conclusion. We all thought it was just us, but then we realized, no, everybody's having this issue. And especially for me, I was like, well, my kid already has his own, struggles, and he has an IEP, but, same thing. We've added more tutoring. Now I have to go to therapy because my kid has developed anxiety. And I'm like, what? Like, I used to be that parent that made fun of kids like that, and now I have one like this. But at the same time, we're we kind of, our kids kind of all grew up together. To see them kind of hit this roadblock so early is so concerning. And we're just, we're blessed that, like we're all here fairly educated. We can try to help our kids. We can give them the financial resources. And I think about people in the district that don't. And I think about, like, I speak 2 languages, but I'm like, what do people do that don't? Like, how does this even get communicated? Those kids must get lost in the sauce. Like, we're over here making a stink, but like not everybody else knows how to do that. And I echo everything here. I'm all for uniformity too, because I don't want my kid to get lost either. But when we try really hard to help them and we're spending this time with them and just trying to convince them that you need to do homework and that you need to be responsible, but it's all for naught. Yeah, it's frustrating as a parent, but we feel helpless too, because we're making our needs or our concerns known, but we're just a lot like this sounds. We're getting the runaround of like it's. Especially with homework, like literally this week, I'm learning that this is optional. Like, I didn't know that was a thing. And in my mind as a parent, homework is not an option either. Like, you got to do it. Same thing. And I told my son, I'm like, listen, I'm up till midnight doing homework too as a working adult. I was like, because I'm in finance and, I have to get this done. And if I don't get it done now, I got to get it done later. And, I will walk the walk too. And we want to help. And like they asked us, what do you think the solution is? Gosh, I wish I could come up with one collectively. I don't know the solution. I'm sure the standards are there because our test scores aren't there either. But I don't know what it is. But I just know we meet in the middle. I also don't understand why iReady cannot be given on paper. I'm just throwing that out there. I'm all for technology, but when you have, especially for children that have IEPs or you have attention issues, using that, they're forced to be impulsive, and then teachers are telling me, oh, this is not a true reflection of their capabilities. I'm like, okay, but it's still following him and it's still on his record. And then he's not able to transition from that to paper. I'm being told I can't get it in paper. I don't understand why. I think that if I'm being tested in class, that should also be an option as well. I'm just throwing that out there. And I have gotten nothing but, sorry, it's the way it is. And I'm like, I feel that if we have students that will do well or have an IEP, that should be an option. But I echo everyone else. I appreciate all the hard work. I know everybody else, you have jobs, you have families. Thank you for being here and hearing us out. We want to help the whole district and our kids be successful. That's all.
So I just have a comment and kind of a question, especially for the Midway parents. Mm-hmm. We've heard the feedback the first session. We've heard in this session about the number of tests. Yes. And I know you all aren't educators. I mean, I get it. Okay. Yeah. So the question I have is, because we like having some clarity around what are we being graded on, I've also heard we like having projects and things like that. What are your thoughts in terms of how a child should be assessed for whether they're actually learning? Because the reason I'm coming from this perspective of being an engineer. I know how their eyes light up when they get a project and they do a lemon battery and they put the lemons together and stuff. I know how their eyes light up and it comes on. But I don't know exactly from an educational perspective how I grade that and let you know as a parent, your child really learned about electrons moving from a lemon through a light and so forth. I don't know how I put a grade on that and let you know today was a worthwhile day. So I'm not just defending the district, but I think the reason for the assessments is to try and give you concrete evidence about what your child is competent in or not. But I don't know the perfect world, but
I don't want assessment every single day.
I get you. Yeah. So it's just it's not the assessment. It's
days of school.
Okay.
We didn't test the first 3 weeks because of baseline setting and I think getting kids, back in the groove and iReady. But I can't tell you a week that we've had less than 3.
Less than 3.
There are days when there's 2 on one day. And then when things don't get accomplished, then things get pushed. And then it gets pushed. Sometimes I think we've had up to 7 in 1 week.
Okay. I'm just
Test
seeking,
or quiz, I should say. I'm all for an assessment. I totally get it. It's the amount. And then whoever is creating these assessments is not lining it up with what is actually being taught. Like, the homework that comes home from Eureka, The test does not match the homework in the wording, in the language.
I do think maybe this has been shared, I'm not sure, but that now our teachers do have the ability to make their own quizzes and minor assessments. So that should help tailor it more to your child's classroom for that. Just for other people, we're going to, well, we can come back to y'all, but yeah. Thank you, though. We'll go here, and then we'll jump back to the back table.
I just wanted to go off of what you said.
Make sure you talk into the microphone.
Just to go off what you said about, the projects. Everybody's a different learner. So you put a test in front of some kids. Some kids aren't good test takers. Some kids are hands-on learners. So you give some kids are going to thrive at projects. That's how they're going to grasp things. Some kids, they're going to read a book and they're going to grasp it that way. So you got to give them different options to have different ways of learning and to enjoy learning different ways. So you just throwing out tests all the time and assessments all the time, that's, you're going after one type of child other than all these children.
And you may not ever be
Okay.
able to measure a kid totally understanding light through a lemon, but they're going to remember it.
Yeah.
Right.
That's what I remember about elementary school. I don't remember the test. I remember the Adobe Playhouse I built, and I remember
Building the plant cell.
Yeah, you remember, I remember the fruit flies. Anybody else do fruit flies? This is the stuff you remember. So I feel like not everything needs to be graded. It's more about the experience, because maybe now you're gonna get some kid be like, well, I want to know more. Mom, send me to STEM camp, or hey, I want to try it with the potato next.
I remember having to stand in front of the classroom and sing about the sun, but you know what? I remember all about the sun from 7th grade, still to this day at 34 years old, because I had to stand in front of the class in 7th grade and sing about the sun.
Okay.
Okay. We're-
We want to touch on that, but
1, 2, 3.
what do we got?
Okay.
And then we can circle back to other conversations.
Okay, let's switch gears real quickly from elementary school to high school. Okay, and let's talk about extracurricular activities. They are all-encompassing and all-consuming. The example from my family is marching band. So they have practice Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, 4:30 to 7:30. They have Friday football games, 4:30 till about 11. And then this last season, they had 4 competitions on Saturday that are about 18 hours long. They gave up a third of their summer for marching band. They also miss school days because they've got band camp all day. So they'll miss all their classes. They have other activities like Band Besties Day, where they'll miss their classes again. All in all, by the time you add it all up, they've done well over 200 hours of preparation for this 8-minute show. That is excessive. My son comes home they get done at 7:30. We might get home at 7:45. He hasn't eaten. And then he's got 6 other classes. He's got homework. He's got AP classes. It is all consuming. We have to keep their education a priority. And we have to limit the amount of time. If they're not going to self-impose limits, then
What school are you at, if you don't mind?
Lexington High School.
Okay.
If they can't self-impose limits and see that they're taking over their lives, we're going to need some direction from the board. We're going to need some boundaries set. If you can't self-impose boundaries, we're going to need you to help us. We're going to need you to put some boundaries. If we can't get it from the state, you're going to have to step up and lead.
You're going to have to say, we're keeping the main thing the main thing. We're prioritizing their education. This cannot take over their lives. We have to remember what they're here for. They're here to go to school.
I just want to make a comment as a prior Lexington High School band member that some of what you say sounds familiar, but some of what you say does sound much more than it used to be as far as particularly missing school days for band. So I do think that's something we need to look at just personally, because I agree academics must come first.
They missed a whole day for preparation for a pep rally. It's a pep rally. They're not in front of judges. It is 8 hours of practice for a pep rally. It is all consuming. It just takes over. We have to remember what they're there for. They're there to go to school.
Thank you for coming and making us aware.
They've got to get your priorities straight. And when the priorities are straight, all the other things fall in line. I don't think we're gonna not do well in marching band because you limit their hours. I don't think that's gonna happen. It doesn't happen other places. So I don't know why that would be the case. But just remember what they're there for. That's got to be the main thing. This cannot take over their lives, their families' lives, their siblings' lives, everybody's lives. They've got to be students first.
I'm gonna probably be the one that is gonna disagree a little bit with your statement, because I do have a senior in high school that has been a varsity athlete since 7th grade. They're right in the middle of their big season, and yes, they're practicing, 2 hours a day. They've had 8 competitions. They go 2 minutes and 30 seconds. And yes, they have missed schools to get ready for stuff. But I also think they're there for education. But a lot of the extracurricular activities can teach you just as much as being in a classroom. I'm not saying classroom's not number one, because I do believe 100% agree with that. But a lot of these extracurricular activities teach discipline. It teaches patience. It teaches how to listen to direction. And so, teamwork. So there's a lot that goes on that. A lot of students, the only way they're going to get into a school, or this is something they want to do later in life, is from those extracurricular activities.
I think extracurricular activities are valuable. I love them. They just can't be the main thing.
Well, can I ask? And I'm going to
limits.
say one thing about extracurricular activities: they are optional. So if the person that's in these activities feels like it's taking too much time and taking away from their education, that is a choice that family has to make. I don't think you can punish everyone else for something that is optional. And so I agree that, missing class is not good, but sometimes it's needed.
But they're also, the other side of that is they're also doing something for the school.
Mm-hmm.
What they're doing, it's not like they're doing something outside of school on their own time. They're doing it for the school. So it's tied to their education. They're doing this for the school.
I 100% agree with that, but also
it's got to be.
But my
there's
thing of
got to
that
be
is
some
something-
boundaries.
That is something that is extracurricular activities like that are optional. You do not have to participate in those. If it is too much for someone and it feels like it's taking away from education, then that person, and I'm not just pointing you out, may not need to do that activity. I have told my kids that. Both of mine play sports. When their grades go down, they either get in trouble by their coach or something else. So we make sure that they know that education is first. I'm sorry, I'm passionate about education. I come from a long background of extracurricular and sports. So to hear someone say it's taking over, it can, but it also is optional, and people can use that
But
to
then, of
get
course,
on to college and get scholarships where they might not have the option to actually have money.
Well,
to go to
and
college.
other states limit it to 8 hours. The state of Texas is limited to 8 hours.
Well, and there are.
They've
I don't
got,
know about. I don't
like,
know about
fabulous
bands, but
football
I will say the House
players.
League sets up rules. Where there's only so many hours you can practice. That's why we have
Yep.
bed seasons and everything else. So yeah, there
Yep.
are rules in place. I don't know much about the band aspect or course or anything else, but there are parameters set up. Now, if someone's going over what the parameters are set, then yeah, that's an issue.
But I think that's it. There aren't any parameters.
Right.
And there need to be.
Thank you
Okay,
so much.
sorry.
No, you're okay.
Go
And
on.
I've written this stuff down. What I can assure you of is that Dr. Price and his team will specifically look into the missed full days of class for pep rally. I 100%
excessive.
promise
That's
that.
beyond excessive.
And I really do appreciate you coming.
Thank you.
Because things like this, we might not have think about, you know, and it allows us to evaluate stuff. So,
Thank you.
Mariah,
Go ahead.
or your husband, sorry.
So I asked this one last time. Do we have a definition on the criteria for bullying yet?
Can you ask that, when you say a definition on the criteria, are you?
We have been told that there is a criteria. They have to meet 4 out of the criteria in order to be considered a bully. I asked for the criteria last time. I still have not received word yet. I'm wondering if we have that yet.
There is, I can't speak for the whole board. There is a bullying policy. I personally have had some individual conversations with board members about general safety in our district, and one of those is bullying. And I have asked us to have an update, which I believe we are going to get at our next Tuesday board meeting on safety. I believe some of that will have to be an executive session, just there are some things that you can't just share with the public, like, here's what we do.
Well, I'm wondering
The
what's
bullying,
there now. I want to know what the criteria is right now. Thank you.
there is a
Got your
policy,
attention.
and that is something that I think we need to revisit. Tell me the date on it. 05? 14. So it was last updated in 2014. We have a responsibility to take a look at that policy, is my opinion.
Okay, and I have another quick question. I want to know if y'all consider this to be bullying. I was not able to attend the Veterans Day stuff today. My son's classmates know that I'm a veteran. I've been at many of the ones up there at the elementary school. One of the students looked at him today since I wasn't there and said, well, I guess your dad's dead because he's not here. Is that considered bullying? I mean, that's 6th grade. They should know better.
I personally would not consider that bullying. I consider that a 6th grader whose frontal lobe is not fully developed and doesn't think before they speak. I mean, that's...
My child has autism, and when you say something like that, it comes off a whole lot different to him. He sees in black and white. There is no gray. There is no any other color whatsoever.
So I guess where I'm coming from, outside of policy, is if a person says something to another person and that other person interprets it a certain way, that doesn't change it into bullying because of how the other person interpreted it. It may still be wrong what they said.
But that's how they define sexual harassment and sexual assault is how the recipient takes it, not how somebody meant it. So how is bullying any different when you come down to a definition?
So I guess where I'm getting at is when your son hears that message and your son interprets that as bullying, do they then go to a teacher or an administrator and say, this is what was said?
It was addressed to a teacher, but I'm asking y'all if you consider bullying. If y'all would consider something like that being said to a child is bullying.
That's not like, I mean, they said, hey, your dad's dead. I mean, how do you interpret that differently?
There's
So
no interpretation to that.
So let me ask this question. If a child was not autistic and somebody said that to a child,
I'd
do
still
you
be
still consider that bullying?
I consider it bullying regardless.
I think
Just
that's,
because I'm not there, I'm at work.
What about being pushed and called stupid on a daily basis, and my son gets told to ignore it, but he has Tourette's and he calls someone shorty because it's a phrase that kids are saying and he gets reprimanded for it.
so to me, being pushed and that kind of thing, that can get into bullying, but somebody.
But it's a girl, so we can't do anything about that.
Okay. I think, and I'll just say this from I'm only speaking as one board member, but from my perspective and as a parent, I think what you're looking at is a particular situation, and with that one particular situation, you're trying to get us to blanket it all into bullying. And I think you have to look at each individual situation and judge, is that really bullying? Because
Well,
I'll
she
be honest
does-
with you.
This child does it to multiple students, the same
But I
thing.
would also like to point out this factoid of it too, because you
Get the
say we're trying to
microphone.
blanket it.
Right.
It is the enforcement of the bullying rules is not there. It is not consistent across the board. There should be a consistency from one child to the next, no matter age, gender, or race. It should be absolute, no questions asked.
All right, and I'll let you talk. I'm picking up what you're putting down now. Beforehand, we were just talking about one statement, and is that bullying? But now the concern I'm really getting, which kind of affects the board, is it being consistent across the board? And I think that's the real question, not just, hey, your dad's dead, and is that bullying? I mean, I think you're just saying,
question
how is
starts
it
off,
being
would you
reinforced?
consider that question technically to be bullying? Regardless of who said it or when they said it, would you consider that particular question to be bullying?
Guess your dad? Me personally, I'd say no.
I think if it was consistent and repetitive, that is my sort of definition and the way I think about bullying. Repetitive and consistent, even if it's not the same, like if it's not the same statement, but we have a single person picking on or bullying another person consistently more than one time, yes. To your point about consistency and enforcement, this was a point that I made about this particular policy, is that the enforcement doesn't, in my opinion, match the punishments, or the crimes, rather, because we have other policies that are really strict. If something happens, the first time, you might get in-school suspension. And our bullying policy doesn't have in my opinion, a relative enforcement or punishment to match, quote unquote, the crime. I think we need to look at it as a board, and that's, we're going there.
We were just told that they have to meet 3 out of 4 criteria, but we have yet to get what that criteria is. That's what we're confused about.
Is that the behavior threat assessment?
No, it's in policy.
Right, but
I'll give you my email.
Good evening. My name is Crystal Baker. This is my first time to a board meeting. Thank you. My children, I have 7 kids, and they all go to White Knoll High School, White Knoll Middle School, and White Knoll Elementary. What I can say is that I'm originally from Maryland. We've been here for 9 years. And before I moved here, I looked at a few counties, and I looked at a few schools. The whole White Knoll community was closest to where my kids went in Maryland. They go to in Maryland, they went to diverse schools. It was diverse education. And we still had the same issues that we're all talking about. But you guys, Lexington 1 matched to what my kids went to. And that was my ultimate goal, to make sure they was comfortable in the transition. And as being here, I've had 2 graduate. I have 1 graduating this year, 1 in middle, and the rest are in elementary. I'm very proud of Lexington 1. I will not change them. We're going to feed this out, and I'm going to finish this out with all of them. The concerns that have been addressed tonight have been, it's puzzling to me, because I feel as though there's not an equal board across Lexington 1. My kids go to White Knoll Elementary. I don't have the same issues that you guys have at your school. As far as homework, that policy, in my eyes, is not being fulfilled across the board, because at White Knoll, the kids don't get homework. And the teachers are saying the reason why they don't give the homework is because us as parents, and I said it here when I came in, us as parents, we can't relate to the homework and the education that's given. We will struggle 2 hours with a child, and I've had with my own, with math. You know, they get the equation, I solve it one way, they solve it another, and they'll sit there and argue with me and tell me I'm wrong, even though we get the same answer. So at the end of the day, we can't help that as years go on, education changes. It's going to happen. But I think what needs to happen is, from the board, the administration, and down to the teachers, it needs to be the saying, it takes a village. Teach me as a parent. Give me some pointers that I can do when they come home. Don't let me fit in, because I'm going to fit in even if you don't let me fit in. I'm going to find my way in. Okay? Each school knows who I am and where I am and who my children are. So when something goes wrong, or when you're trying to educate your child, I want to know what they're learning. Teach me so I can help them. If you can't teach me A, B, C, D, give me some pointers when they do come to me, because they're going to come to me. I can't even get through my front door when I come home. Mommy, I got this. I said, okay, let me break it down. Let me sit down. Okay? So I think from the aspect of where you guys are coming from, the frustration is, one, yes, it's the testing is a lot. But at White Knoll, the testing comes, but they also are doing assessments. I'm glad the grading scale has changed for 3rd to 5th grade, because instead of the P's or in progress or not meets, we had the percentages. And that has given a lot of kids in the school system accountability. And they're looking at that. They don't want to bring home a D. And if they do, they're like, oh no, mommy, what can I do to fix this? So it's bringing accountability on the children, but it's also making us understand what our kids are not getting in class. The homework is the guide. And that's why I think on our side, the homework is not tested. I mean, not tested, but not graded. So it's like a study guide. And so when my kids come home with that, and the teachers will tell us in Power School, it's not graded, it's not going to be graded, but use that for them to prep for the test. So I think on my side, the communication is quite clear. And when I don't kick communication, the teachers hear from me. And I know you guys do the same thing. I think it needs to be the way the teachers respond to us. Every teacher doesn't respond to us the same way, you know. But also some parents don't know how to talk to a teacher, just like some of our children don't know how to talk to a teacher. You know, your child might be introvert, my child might be outrovert or introvert or whatever. He's talkative, and I got one that's quiet that won't say a thing, and I got to go and talk for that one. So it's things that we have to learn through these policies and procedures, black and white. And in the day when I grew up, everything didn't glow in black and white that was in the guidelines, okay? Because that's, and y'all know it too. If y'all grew up in the 90s and 80s, stuff wasn't written in black and white. We've had to put these policies and procedures in effect because things have changed. And so, but in these things that are in writing, the policies that are in writing, things are happening where, what did I just say, the bullying was 2014? The bullying has changed, has gone to 1,000 since 2014. Okay, and to his statement, you know, like he said, it needs to be, the levels needs to be explained, need to be put out there. Bullying is going to be on top of any education thing we can talk about today. Because as we stand here tomorrow, something can happen and it'll be categorized as bullying. But till it gets to that point where it's even more escalated. So these are things we just have to look at as parents, as administrators, as board. It takes a lot. It does. It takes a lot. The extracurricular activities, my standpoint on that, all my kids are in academics. I mean, in extracurricular activities. But like I just told him at the table, when my child was playing basketball at high school, he wasn't making the grades. I sat him down. The coach got mad. I said, well, how he going to survive if he don't have education? He not going to survive on basketball. So sometimes we have to take that step up. And if you feel as though I disagree with them missing a day for prep for a pep rally, you kidding me? Sit your butt down. You will be in class. They can pep all day. Not today. Not on my watch. No. So, and you just, they can get mad and get upset. I'm on Booster Club. I'm on PTAs. I'm on councils.
Have you thought about running for school board?
My mom said she don't know if they're ready for my mouth yet. My mouth is quite calmer as I get older, so I might be ready. I've been nominated for National PTA Board, so so I do want to, I think it's about that time to get on the board, but it'll take time. But all the concerns that you guys are addressing are right. There's no wrong answer to any of this. The experience, like you said, the projects and stuff, you remember that more. These kids remember projects, field trips, anything that's out of the norm in school. And you guys go back to the school when they having show off your night, what your kids are doing. Go to the school and see what they're doing. It helps the child, it helps you, it helps the teachers. Yes, the teachers have a lot on their plate. Let's not get that wrong. But at the same time, we have to advocate together, both positive and negative, to balance out for our children. Okay.
Thank you. Well, we'll wrap it up and then we'll come and talk. Mr.
Good afternoon. My name is Shelton Yance, and I wanted to ask a few questions, kind of piggybacking what we talked about here. So, clarity from the board. So, this talking about this math and ELA and everything else. So, the state comes in and sets the standard, correct? And then the district goes in and they're picking the curriculum, or they pick which packet. Correct.
From a set of ones we can choose from, yes, we
Okay.
choose.
My question is this. Let's say there's 6. Okay. Just throwing a number out there. I have no clue. You talk about all these testings. Are there some that require more or less testing, or not at all? They're all equal.
So we have our curriculum, and
Correct.
then we write assessments based off of the curriculum that we teach.
Okay.
And so the current practice is standard assessments. I'm looking at Dr. Price to make sure I don't misspeak, but standard assessments across our schools. Now our teachers have the own authority to create their own minors, their own quizzes, things like that.
Okay, but the majors are required by who?
It's an internal thing.
It's an internal, so
Yes,
it's the
sir.
district themselves.
Yes, sir.
So y'all have the ability to rewrite these and make them match whatever we're
Yes, sir.
currently in. Okay, so my brain's twirling here. So the curriculum audit that was put out, there was a lot of things that were. I'm sorry, the curriculum audit. I believe this district got it early 2024. One of the things, I know y'all changed a lot, so I'm not saying y'all are not doing this, but one of the things I want to ask is, it states in there, there's no clear and coordinated plan for using student assessment to systemically improve instruction in the district. Okay, so where are we at with that? Because my understanding is the state just changed this math, and if we've been doing it the same way for 14 years and now we just moved the field goal post, what are we doing now? Like, is all that data now just thrown out of the window and we're starting fresh, or are we... I mean, what does that look like on the district?
I'm trying to think about what we're going to be covering at our meeting on Tuesday. I know we're going to address some of our academics and, standards and report cards and things like that on Tuesday night. No, it's not all out the window. But things have changed, standards have changed, and Mr. Yance, I would be more than happy to put you in contact with people at the district that could really, I don't want to misspeak, I have nothing with me right now to look at that stuff. So,
Kathy,
great question.
If
but-
you don't mind, I'm just, one thing, and I'm not all in the details of the academics, but high level. What I have understood is, particularly this past year, we have really focused on standardizing our curriculum, our assessments, making sure that, what you learn at White Knoll is the same as what you learn at Pillion, in somewhat the same way. And again, this is just more of an outsider looking in, what we've had to do as we've done that is kind of modify and adjust, because this year we're seeing that, some things are maybe not written exactly right, or we're doing too much assessment in one area. And so we're kind of monitoring and adjusting from what we've tried to do to standardize. And I'm envisioning, and I could be totally misspeaking, and I apologize now if I am, that question that you just asked is kind of the next step as we've kind of standardized, is to making sure all of that's ticking and tying together between what is taught and what is assessed and what the outcomes are, that we're going to be tightening that up more and more over these next couple of years in response to the curriculum audit. Mr. Price, Dr. Price, do you want to add? Mr.
Of course.
Oh, yeah, we'd love to hear it.
Let's let the expert speak.
Yeah, thank you. So I really appreciate the feedback. And so I'm over here writing feverishly, and I've got some of my team members who are watching this online, and they're already taking notes and sending me text message. We're going to check into that. So I'm already getting some of those updates. But to go to your question, Mr. Yance, part of that curriculum audit talked about streamlining assessments and a plan for using the results. That's where the common assessments are coming from. We're trying to get in alignment with best practices and what was recommended to us back in '24. So as the standards changed, so did the state assessments. So did the curriculum materials that we are using. So the assessments, the majors that are being administered, are aligned to the new state standards, and the new high-quality instructional materials and test item bank questions that the state has provided and approved. So all of it is strategic. And so in theory, what will happen as we move forward is we're able to collect the results of these assessments, then use them to dive into to see how we need to monitor instruction moving forward, either individually, small groups, or class as a whole. It's all part of the process. But getting those common assessments in place first is the first step. And while I've got the mic, if I can address, I heard you talking about the things that make learning fun and the projects. I heard someone talked about a lemon lab. That was you. That was a fun one too. I remember that. So one of the things that's changed, and I don't know that it's made it out to parents everywhere, is that we've heard that feedback. And in the first 9 weeks, the majors were the common assessments, and the minors were assessments or quizzes that were also created. And they were like 5 or 6 questions, and one missed question could lead to a poor grade. So we took all that feedback, and that part has changed for quarter 2. So now teachers have the ability to design their own minors, okay? So the labs, the group work, the other ways to demonstrate learning that you all were talking about, that's now a possibility moving forward. I don't know that that communication has made it out to everyone, but that's a big change from first 9 weeks to what we've done now. So we had an opportunity to meet today with our Teacher Advisory Council. We're collecting more feedback. So this is an ongoing process. So this feedback is important to us that we will continue to reflect on, to discuss, and see how we can find, as Ms. Shealy mentioned, finding the right balance for moving forward with making sure that grades represent a student's learning capacity, but that we're not zapping the joy out of learning. Nobody wants that. Nobody wants that. Right. So
when did it change? Because most of us remember that, but our kids aren't doing so. When did that change exactly?
which part?
It's not fun in school anymore.
I think what they were talking about was in first 9 weeks, the only assessments that were being given were quizzes and tests.
Been like that for a couple of years. At least.
Well, I haven't heard that until this 9 weeks. Yeah, so that's the part that I wanted to address, that based on the feedback that's been received, that's an adjustment that has already been put into place. So, sorry to take the mic, but I wanted to answer Mr. Yance's question and then to share a little bit about the changes because of what was coming from the Midway Parents group. Yeah, so I wanted to make sure that that information is getting out there. So you should start to see and feel differences with the amount of assessments that are going on as we move forward. So.
Since fall break, we've had a test almost every day. A test or a quiz. I'm sorry, I can't get the major minor part down.
Okay.
Test and quiz, I just kind of feel like we've got to take it back to the 80s here.
Understood.
Yeah. We've had one almost every day.
If I could, I got one quick question.
Mr. Anderson. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Real quick, and if y'all can answer. What is the district's current plan for the old for the old Pillion Middle School? Can you comment?
There isn't one.
There isn't one. So are we're just letting it sit? Are we using it for storage? Are we using it for internals for the district?
We do utilize the theater at times for some activities. And I think on occasion we've used the gym, but the rest of the school we've not.
Yeah.
Oh. Okay, more. We need a mic.
My name is Sabrina Young, and I live in this community, and I've been here all my life, really. My kids grew up here. I have a son that is at West Point College, graduated from here, was football, and I appreciate everything that he got from here. Kept his grades up because I was on it, like she said. I stayed on it. I was at the coach when he first met my son. He came from the middle school. He was at the rec center, and that's where it placed me. We do not have anything for the children outside of school. I feel that that gym down there should be used as a recreation for the kids around this area, any area. Yeah. Swansea has a rec area for their kids that they play traveling basketball, but that is just sitting there. what is it for our kids to do? Give our kids that advantage also, to have that sports thing before they get here, to have some extra. I mean, like I said, my son did the rec sent up here in Pillion for football, flag football and all of that. So I put him in that because therefore that gives them something to stay off the streets. That gives them something to have to do with them not getting in trouble or not, doing something they don't have no business doing. Like I said, I am so proud that my son was able to graduate, but I stayed on it. I pushed and pushed. All my children has graduated. So I pushed and pushed and said, this is not what's going to happen. This is, if they don't have the grades, I'm like her, Mom, you're going to sit out. You're not doing right, you're going to sit out. But he showed me, no, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. He kept his grades up. He played his football from Little League all the way up to middle school, all the way to here. And like I said, it accomplished something. He's at West Point. He had to get a senator to write him this letter to get to West Point. So when I say I'm proud of him, so I want other kids to have that advantage. And if that helps with taking that school and doing something with that gym and giving them something, that's what I feel like they'll have. But now if they don't have anything, of course they're going to go out here and get in trouble because there's nothing here to give them. And then, like I said, Swansea got it, but why would we take our kids from here to take them to Swansea to be able to have that advantage? That is my biggest thing, and I had said that out there that I wanted to say something about that gym because it's just sitting there.
Thank you so much. Yeah, it's a really great feedback, and we're certainly all ears. Yeah. I love your idea. Shelton, did you have any solutions for that? Or?
I wanted to piggyback off of that. So I graduated from Pillion High School in 2013. Okay, this is my home. My great-grandparents went here. Like, we've gone nowhere else but here. And I will say that our schools get the same resources, I believe, that every other school does. Are there some differences? Yeah, absolutely. There's larger schools that have more activities and stuff. I understand that. But Pillion, outside of this, and I don't know if y'all know this, but I was on town council in Pillion. We had to fight for 3 years to get a 2-stall bathroom built in the town because we were told we were too poor and didn't have the money. And the state would not give us the resources to build a bathroom for a park for free. We had to fight for 2 years. And we were told a lot of other things I can't say. But my thing is here in this community, and I was talking to these ladies earlier, I've got family members, they don't get home till 7 o'clock, 6:30 in the afternoons, and by the time you have bath, you have dinner, you get to spend time with your kids, you don't have time to do all this that they're doing. So my thing is, you've got millions of dollars sitting down here. You've got $2 million allocated supposedly to one of the schools down here. I believe it's the old Pillion Middle School. Can we not pencil in and have an idea, a 3-year goal, 2-year goal? I don't care. Why can't we talk to some kind of nonprofit? I'm not saying they exist. I have no clue. But these ladies discuss what they're paying. Pillion's not going to pay that. I'm just going to be blunt. These folks aren't paying $700, $350 a month to tutor their kids. I mean, I can just say that. I used to work in the IGA down here, and I used to sit there and check out groceries, and I hear everybody's story. So, and I hate to say it, this town hasn't changed much. And I hate to say it, the reputation hasn't either. And it's sad when I ran for school board 2 years ago, and they would welcome me to Lexington District 6. And we're not Lexington District 6. We're Lexington District 1. So, and I understand, I won't mention names, but there was a superintendent some time ago. His biggest thing was the only problem in Pillion is equity. They're more upset because we put a wrought iron fence at River Bluffs High School and we gave them a chain link fence. Absolutely. Yeah. Because we would love to see it the same across the board. And we've had discussions, all of you. We have privately have discussions. Mm-hmm. And yes, I would say let's see how we can invest more in these schools. And I have it written down here. Pillion Elementary has been average for the last 3 years, okay? Pillion Middle School, for the first time in 3 years, is considered good on the report card. The high school ebbs and flows. We have no clue what's going on there. And then Forts Pond Elementary School is either hit or miss. So, sorry, I'm taking jabs. But,
wow.
But my thing is, how, I know, but see, but where can we get more help? You know, can we ask the state for something? Is there nonprofits out there in other districts that we can say, hey, this is a great idea. Let's rip my line of work. If we see something we like, we call it rip it and stick it. We steal their idea and we put it on our piece of paper. So anyways, that's a lot of rambling, but I agree that I don't want to continue being called Lexington District 6.
And Sheldon, I wholeheartedly agree with that because people in Gilbert feel the same way. And that was one of the reasons why I ran. I will say it's probably not as bad as we make it out to be, but this is me personally speaking as Nick Pizzuti, feel there is some disconnect with some of the outer areas in the district. I'm hoping that when we get this facility study completed, that we should have, I think, February, March, so about 2 months. They looked at every facility in the district that we own, that we can get some starting point of some of the stuff that needs to be done. I agree that, you know, there's probably some money sitting in there that's been allocated that we haven't touched, and I can't answer why we haven't. I just know that myself am trying to make sure because, yeah, I'm like you. You know, if one school gets wrought iron, every school needs to be getting wrought iron. I mean, so it kind of needs to be, we're trying to make the teaching across the board where you can go from one school to the other and not have to worry about, you know, they're getting the same assessments there, but we need to do that with everything across the board, not just the education part, but the facilities, the type of stuff they can use to learn, I mean, all the resources they have. So I agree with you on that one.
Thank you.
All right.
I want to
Mr.
jump in
Anderson,
on that
and
one
then-
as well.
Okay.
I retired from the district, and I've worked with several superintendents, both when I worked there and then afterwards. There was a time when there was inequity for Pillion and for Gilbert, and I don't believe that exists today. I think that our last couple of administrations have really worked hard to make sure that that is non-existent. There are needs here, and I think that those needs are being addressed. And like Mr. Pizzuti said, you know, we've got the facility study underway, and that's going to tell us a lot. But I am so glad that you brought up the point about the gym, about, you know, the middle school sitting there, and, you know, this community could use something. They could use that building, and I think we need to address that.
I'd love to see early childhood education.
We would too. We would too. And there's, you know, we have kind of kicked that can down the road over the last few years. When I first came on the board, we went to visit the Early Child Care Development Center in Swansea, and it's outstanding. And I could not believe that Swansea had one and we don't. And I can't believe that we still don't, but there's more to that than what meets the eye.
From what I was told, we don't have a waiting list
Yeah, yeah.
in this area for, I could be wrong.
But, you
But
know, the
all-
early,
Have you done a poll to see if people want it? Have you tried?
Oh, I'm sure they do, but we don't, we currently, we provide that, and we are meeting the needs currently. So there's not this massive wait list here for that.
Yes, have you realized the neighborhoods that are being built out here? My concern, even though I have a sophomore at this school, is the growth. And I've already been told it's grown just from last year to this year. So by the time he graduates in 28, I'm concerned for the ones behind me. I love other kids just as much as I do my own.
yeah,
We'll certainly look
growth
into
is
it.
an inevitable. Personally, I call a lot of it irresponsible growth because, you know, when you clear cut land, which I'm dead set against, and then pack houses in there, you know, this is so close together, and I've been told it's a numbers game. When wasn't it a numbers game? We used to build neighborhoods and leave old growth timber. We don't do that anymore. But I think the biggest thing I want to say tonight is that how appreciative I am personally of your attendance here tonight for this community conversation. This is our second one, and it has been fantastic. The feedback and the input that you have provided to this board has been sensational. And we will be acting on it. The administration is here, they're listening, and, it's great that you've taken the time and that you're involved in your child's education. You see so much and so often that parents are not as involved. And I applaud you for that. It takes that. You have to be attuned to what your child is doing at school in every aspect. And it's hard. Like the lady back here was talking about trying to help with math homework. I went through that too. I mean, you get to a certain point, I can't help you anymore, son. I'm sorry, but thank y'all so much for just being here and providing this feedback. It's greatly appreciated.
Thank you all. We'll talk after.
I had one
All right.
thing to say too,
Okay.
really quick.
Really
I've been
quick,
waiting
yes,
very
that's fine.
patiently. It just goes really quick back to the assessments about how many we have. But, so my son had so many in English, 7 assessments so far in minor assessments. But then, as I told you, we only have 1 scheduled assessment in science for a major and 1 scheduled assessment for minor. So you guys are telling me if he does poorly on both of those, he's going to have a poor grade in science. Why do we have so many assessments in all these other subjects, but yet we only have 2 assessments in science? I'm 1 minor and 1 major.
And
you said this Pillion Elementary, 3rd grade. Yeah.
We will look into that for your child's class, for sure.
Remind us what school you
This
know.
is 3rd grade Pillion Elementary.
Okay.
All right. Thank you all again for coming. As Ms. Baker said earlier, Baker, right? It takes a village, and the village showed up tonight. So we really do appreciate you coming. As Mr. Anderson was saying, the district is looking into those things. We have a working document right now that has listed out everything the board members emailed from Gilbert a few weeks ago, and we'll add to it tonight. And at our meeting next week, we'll update the community on actions that are being taken based off of the feedback that we've gotten from all of you at our 2 sessions. We have 3 more coming up, and we would love to see you there. We will be hanging around for a few minutes afterwards if you want to come up and chat about anything that you didn't get a chance to talk about. Thank you very much.
One last thing before everybody gets up and goes, and piggyback everything. I appreciate everybody coming out, but today is Veterans Day, so we don't want to forget that. So if you are a veteran in the audience, just want to say thank you for your service.